G'day, mate. Welcome to Friday Facts 275, the last one of 2018, and I'm joined by the famous Mojo again. Hey, mate.
Hello.
Famous. Famous, yeah, definitely famous.
Infamous?
Infamous? Sure, infamous as well. It's going to be a long Friday Facts, because it's detailed and...
Yeah, it's a long Friday Fun Fact, so
yeah,
of course it's going to be long.
Yeah, and first thing we're greeted with is a pretty picture.
Yeah.
Which Albert put together. Albert put together a lovely, pretty picture of the engineer with the hands that are too big and the boots that are too big and
The skinny arms. It reminds me of, what was that game? We Happy Few, which had the really funny looking body.
yeah. So yeah, thanks for 2018. Hi 2019. Happy New Year's, all that sort of stuff. Last Friday Facts of 2018. Yep.
Just occurred to me, is he feeding the biter production packs?
Yes, they're purple packs, which used to involve alien goop. The humour is not lost on me.
Or it's distilled and liquefied furnaces and electric engines.
No. It's probably a 14 science pack.
Possibly.
He's had
the leftovers.
Yeah,
he had them in the cupboard.
That just didn't go through the migration process correctly. Yep.
Yes.
So, version 17, science changes by V.
Yes, he's been busy. He's been very busy.
Very, very busy. Science in Factorio, more separately, technologies and science packs are the main progression mechanisms for the game, and all entities are unlocked by it. It is great, but also means we have to change or add almost anything to the game. It will certainly have some impact on the science. Over time, we've changed the technologies and science packs multiple times because their context and design goals moved and evolved with the game. Before 15, we had a fairly linear progression, getting from Science Pack 1 to 3, and then increasing complexity, plus Go Fight Your Neighbors alien Science Packs, which didn't really require much factory crafting. They were, what was it?
They were kind of dumb.
1 goop for 10 purple packs?
Something like that.
They were boring.
Yeah, it was 1 goop for 10 packs, so you just go out, kill like 3 bases, and there'd be enough science for a little while.
Oh, I think it was... Like, you go clear 5 nests, you've probably already done that in your game up to that point, and you had all the purple packs you needed for the whole game done.
Pretty much, because there was no infinite science at that point.
No, you got to the end, and then to make a bigger base, you aim for more rockets per minute.
Yep.
And sort of game done. Yep. So in 15, Coverix introduced a new design where players should be able to make a choice between different tech paths to get different benefits from each. The amount and price of each of these science packs also made the game significantly better paced and longer. Many had enough time in the game to appreciate the intermediate steps between upgrades, like, for example, not ignoring modular armor or power armor Mark 1. In 15, we also added infinite technologies with space science packs, which give more of a sense to large factories that never have to stop. During 15, we added some tweaks to production science packs, as we realised neither Assembly Machine 1 or pump jacks were the right ingredients, and ended up a bit too simplified. Now, assembly machines just cost way too much. Pump jacks were at least interesting.
It was interesting, but it was expensive.
It was. And they're right. Purple science is just boring. Now.
Yes.
Just, like, when you get to that blue point and you got purple and high-tech to go, you just do purple first because it's easy.
Yeah.
And high-tech requires...
Generally, because you want something from what's immediately accessible, like Assembly Machine 3s, but it usually doesn't matter. Because it's...
Pretty much anything you want, you need both purple and high-tech for.
Yeah.
And purple's just the easier one to make first.
Usually I do both at the same time.
I normally get purple done just so I can tick off a research whilst I'm building yellow.
Yeah, it's a similar sort of thing. Like, I build purple, then yellow, but effectively I'm building them at the same time. Yeah, I'm not really saying, okay, I want this specifically from purple.
Yeah.
And then I want that from high-tech. Because usually what I want is in high-tech already.
It's in high-tech.
Most of what I want in high-tech needs both either way.
Yeah. So, the current state in version 16. So we got the Military Science Pack, which has the gun turret. In Military Science Pack is really expensive, and the rest of the ingredients are too small in contrast, which makes them feel redundant. In the crafting menu, Science Pack 3 is sort of before Military Science Pack, making it almost certain that players obtain the military science pack first, except in peaceful mode, and science pack 3 simply later because of the oil processing barrier, which is hard for many, which I would agree with 100%.
Yep. Actually, it also just occurred to me Kvorax did the changes so that you couldn't ignore things like modular and power armor. Modular armor and power armor are so terrible. That's why we ignored them. It's not that it was so compressed. It was because they were so terrible.
Modular armor is really only beneficial for the extra inventory slots.
Yeah, and there's only 10 extra individual slots. And the best you can do is throw a night vision, 2 batteries, or a battery, and then just fill the rest up with solar panels, because solar panels are so neat, which is the real core of the problem.
Solar panels are useless, and yeah, it gives you night vision. Night vision, some inventory slots. And it's fairly cheap. What is it? Red circuits, steel.
Red circuits and steel.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it's stuff
Didn't pick up on that before, but yeah.
Probably got lying around, and it's good for night vision. And to get batteries crafted. Like personal batteries. Yeah, it's just crap. And we skip power 1 because it's crap. You can't power it until you've got the proper fusion reactor.
Same problem.
By then you've got Power Armor Mark II, so you just make a fusion reactor and put it in a Power Armor Mark II, and the solar panels are what's holding the whole thing back. So then we got Science Pack 3. Science Pack 3 adds the most amount of complexity, mainly oil mining, oil processing, setting up chemical plants, and a lot of extra resource requirements. 4.5 times more expensive than the first 2 science packs combined. Electric mining drill recipe in Science Pack 3 has boring ingredients, iron, gears, and green chips. We also we use in multiple other places, and inserters in Science Pack 2 is one of them. It is also the miner that raised the price of the Science Pack a lot. Electric mining drill in Science Pack 3 was supposed to hint the player to expand production because things are about to get wild and expensive, but the hint doesn't seem to work well. Again, I agree 100%.
No. It turns out that checking up on quite a few people, they didn't even know it was a thing until they read it in the FFF.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's Science Pack 3 has just became a giant iron hog, and military as well. They just eat iron. And we suddenly had to go from 4 lanes of iron was sort of common to 6 to 8, just because of these 2 science packs that just eat iron.
Military packs are on. In a normal playthrough, military can just shuffle off the side. Doesn't actually need that much.
It depends on whether you want to try and get stuff done quickly, or you're just happy to get military when you get military.
Yeah.
And for me, who's really gotten good at the whole min-maxing thing, if I want military research, I want it to run at full speed. Sure, it can buffer a little bit, but yeah, it means I need 6 lanes of iron pretty much guaranteed, if not 8.
Yeah, in the past you just have 2 lanes of iron, and that would do a rocket. Not fast, but come.
It'd be 4 lanes total. 2 are going to green circuits, and 2 are sort of doing everything else.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
And now it's 4 to everything else and 2 to green circuits, if not.
You'd have 2 to 4 to green circuits, 2 to everything that's else, but then you would still need like
2 for military and blue science.
Yeah, pretty much. Each one of those would have their own iron supply.
Yeah.
And that's not even counting steel too, because of those take steel too.
That's entirely separate, yeah. So then we got the Production Science Pack. Production Science Pack has surprisingly few ingredients, 2 for its exceptional high tier, because it did have 3, but they pulled everything they put into it.
It used to have pump jacks.
Yeah, and assembly machine 1s. And again, they pulled both of those because it was too expensive. The step from Science Pack 3 to Production Science is minimal in complexity, using the simplest oil processing result. Lubricant upgrade engines from Science Pack 3 to produce more of the same. Steel and advanced circuits for electric furnaces. For the first time, you need a steady supply of stone bricks, unless you have the smelting automated for walls or the handful of oil refineries you needed earlier. There are not many unlocks the Production Science Pack alone would give you. The interesting ones require high-tech science pack as well, so that in the end there's little choice, you simply need both anyway. This in combination with the differences in complexity and price between the Production tech science packs means that most players don't even realise that the design is that they can choose between the two science packs. Therefore, it's common to think that the high-tech science pack is obviously superior to the production science pack. In fact, even the name of the science pack implies that it is. And pretty much I agree with everything again. I don't set up stone brick smelting before I need purple. There's no point. I don't need brick in any large quantity. There'll be
Production packs is actually a minor inconvenience for nuclear power too.
Why?
Because nuclear power, I think, is only unlocked with blue side. But then to do the reprocessing and Kavorex, you need production.
Purple. Yeah. So blue is for... Actually, no, I think Kavorex, don't you need high tech?
Oh, maybe you do.
So blue gives you nuclear, which lets you...
Yeah, it is actually.
Lets you make nuclear power plants and actually refine...
or just process.
Mine and process uranium. But then you can put what little you find in the way of shiny rocks into nuclear power plants to make power. But then the used up fuel cells you can't do anything with until you unlock the science, which is like a 500 pot research.
It's expensive. It's not an insignificant research.
And at the end of the day, it really doesn't give you anything. Like, you put it in and you get back 2 or 3 of the 238, the dull rocks, back. That's all you
it gives you some dud ones back.
Yeah, and honestly, like, they could sit in a chest for the 500 science packs that you put into it. They could sit in a chest for the whole game. It's really not worth it. So, yeah, production science packs has always been a bit of a letdown in my book. And they're right, same as we both said, that you don't bother with it. What tech you want is probably hidden behind high tech.
Speed modules, beacons,
beacons, power armor, nukes, the actual ones that go boom.
Although I think nukes is everything.
It may be, but it's still, you need yellow for it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's really what it comes down, like faster robots, everything. I think the only thing purple gives you is it gives you one, or maybe... No, I think it's only one.
Gives you blue belts.
No, it's one of the robot carrier upgrades. That's it. Cargo upgrades. Is hidden behind purple. So that's normally the one, like, I get purple up and running, and that's the first one I tick off. Just get that done whilst I set up high tech. Just so the bots carry a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, so the cargo one, not the other one.
I think maybe you can get 1 or 2 speeds as well. It's crap. So yeah, we got high-tech science packs. High-tech science pack is very expensive compared to the production science pack. Yep. The step from science pack 3 to high-tech science pack is moderate in complexity, but huge in price. Crazy amount of electronic circuits, advanced circuits, and smelting to support them. Processing units in high-tech science packs are very expensive, and the rest of the ingredients seem irrelevant and low tier. High-tech science packs need copper cables as high-throughput ingredient, which feels out of place as many people as you craft copper cables at the beginning of the game, and they don't feel very high-tech, but it's cool and it's a little different, makes you consider using direct insertion in the builds. Batteries feel quite low tier. If you want early laser turrets, robots, accumulators, it's usually the first oil product you make. High-tech science packs need speed modules, which have a much less interesting impact on the game than production or even efficiency modules. Again, nothing more than I agree.
Yep. I don't know about you, but I've never liked the copper wire going into...
I only liked it for a direct insertion. It
just felt like an annoying...
It really is annoying that you have to get 30 copper cable into one of these machines in 14 seconds.
It's like it was done on purpose just for that reason, just to annoy people.
It has led to, from the opposite end of the scale, a very large mega base trying to do it on belts. It has led to some complex belt dynamics, trying to get 30 copper cables on a belt and then off a belt into a machine in like 6 seconds or less because of the speed modules and the prod mods and everything else. So at that scale, it's a little bit interesting, but yeah, as far as the science pack goes, it's pretty yeah.
So put it in perspective with the batteries too. Batteries used to be part of, but before 15, batteries were one of the ingredients in Science Pack 3, blue.
Yeah. That was an old one with blue, and they pulled it out and swapped it for what?
For high tech. Or actually, well, completely changed because it used to be steel plate, battery, filter inserters, and red circuits.
That's right. It was a filter inserter. It was 4 ingredients. Yeah.
Yep.
And again, like, personally, I don't automate filter inserters. I'm like, if I carry inserters on me and I carry green circuits and red circuits,
No, there's no need to.
Automate them.
It's an on-demand thing.
Yeah. So in short, military packs could be nicer and cheaper. Science Pack 3 is a huge difficulty spike, whereas production versus high-tech science pack balance doesn't really work. Let's look at what we can do about it. So in 17, where all the changes come from. So step 1, science pack names. The names will make more sense once you know the rest of the changes, but I think it's important to set a dictionary first, so the article is less confusing. The idea behind this was the specialization science packs get unique names, whilst the mandatory early game progression keeps the numbers 1, 2, and 3. Naming the numbers. So giving the numbers names 1 to 7 would mean that any choices would be out the window unless we add some sub numbers. For example, Science Pack 3A and Science Pack 3B, which I've seen some mods do, but it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
They say here, would you ever remember which is A and which one's B? Nope. Nope. Naming by colors. The other option would be just call them by the colors. So many people do this already regardless. However, a lot of also say green, red, blue circuits or yellow, red, blue belts. That's completely fine. The official name of the game should represent something about the differences. The main difference between a green and a red circuit is not the color, but the recipe and the complexity. No, it's normally I need that for that recipe to make that thing. If I could substitute green chips for blue chips, I would, because they're easy. Furthermore, I believe it has some value to have official formal names, even if we know and we all call things with the simplified informal names. Anyway, I believe that creating this informal language in your mind or in the whole community is subconsciously really cool. You're calling things by their color. It's easy to remember, and everybody understands everybody understands each other, but only because you all share knowledge of what the color in that context means. To summarize, we best have unique names that represents each science pack well, and they should represent its purpose of the stage of the game and the recipe and be short and easy to pronounce. And I believe we have them at last. So we've got red automation, green logistics, military, the grey one still, which the argument's still
military is military.
The argument's still out what colour that is. Yep. Chemical for blue, production for purple, utility for yellow, and space for white. Which I still think it should be called rocket science. So, yeah.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure he actually
does cover that.
Talks about that.
Yeah, he does. So, step 2, science pack recipes. One of the most important aspects of the science pack is the recipe. It defines how many resources it costs, how complicated it is to produce, how much do you need to research before being able to produce it because of prerequisites, and how much time it takes to craft it, including all the ingredients. So we've got red stays unchanged.
Red's perfectly fine as it is. It's one item that's been mined and then smelted, and then one item that's been mined, smelted, and so it makes perfect sense.
Red's fine. We're happy with the first science pack, especially when it's a nice name that sets the tone for the whole game. Yeah, automation science pack fits it perfectly.
Yep, it's the first thing you automate.
Yeah.
Start making machines to automate it.
The second science pack is fine, hence the name was not... Here the name was not easy to find as green science used to unlock so many various things, but logistics are a big part of them. Red belts, cars, trains, stack inserters, robots.
Yep.
In general, automation plus logistics is the first mandatory part of the game, so they fit well together, and the ingredients, inserter plus transport belt, are both related to moving items around. Again, I can't argue with that one.
Yep, it's faultless.
Now,
and it's also, what is that? That's now items that are both mined, smelted, crafted into a media, and then crafted into a product, and then crafted into the science pack.
Yeah, so it's a 3-step process now?
Yep.
Then 4 for the science pack, yep. So, he's got this note here. I've been considering adding 1 pipe to the recipe to make getting oil easier. If you have pipes automated, it's so much easier. You need to create a number of them to build a refinery and even craft the items the refinery costs. Using a science pack recipe is not a guarantee that the player will automate pipes installed in a chest for later use, but it's a step closer. You can just pick up the pipes of the belt from a belt if they back up and you need them. The ore price would be a little bit higher, around about 14%, and it would add a little bit more complexity in this science pack. Thoughts, Mojo?
I think it steps on the same trap that the mining drill hint, where it's hinting towards doing something, but in actual fact, no one will get the hint.
Well, I don't mind the idea of adding pipes to this one, because it's, what, 1 plate for 2 pipes?
1 plate for 1 pipe.
Is it?
Yep.
Okay. So 1 plate for 1 pipe. I thought it was 2. So we'd take the cost from 5.5 iron to 6.5 iron. Was still 1.5 copper. I like the idea of adding pipes. It does mean, because at the moment, red science, you've got 2 items, 1 belt, shove in a machine. It means green science, you've now got 3 items, which means guaranteed 2 belts, and then shove in a machine. It means you started using long-handed inserters to get things in and out of machines.
Remember to go from... One thing that I think you got to remember is, so to make red science, you need to make automate mining, and then you need to automate smelt, and then you need to automate producing gears.
Mm-hmm.
To make so to then step up to green science, you then need to expand what you have there to also make
more gears,
more gears
for the inserter,
circuits,
and then circuits for the actual inserter.
Yeah.
Which means that yes, there is a good chance that people have maybe played with long-handed inserters already. Possibly for green circuits, they might not have. But I'm not opposed to adding pipes. I'll leave it at that. I don't mind the idea.
I'm sort of inclined to not want to change it just because it's a step up in cost, which means you need more mining more early. Which, just cycling up the production can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So...
But yeah. It's the expense and having to do all that stuff. For me.
We step on a military, especially since Assembly Machine 1 no longer has the 2 ingredient limit, which was back in Friday Facts 266, which is, I think, one of the first ones we did.
Yeah, one of.
I say this opinion is completely... I say this option is not completely off the table yet, so I'm especially interested in what you think about this in regards to the pipes. So, yeah. Military Science Pack. Piercing rounds stays the same as one of the more vital things you have automated for your health as well as well-being on this planet. Grenade stays the same as a very useful weapon against large groups of enemies. I don't really agree with that. But trees, definitely.
Oh yeah,
Grenades and
trees are the true enemy, so it's clearing the true enemy of the game.
Yeah. Replacing the gun turret with 2 wool. This means more of a price balance between all the ingredients, so some of them feel... reasonable, a lower price of the science pack in total, and now it requires stone, which is a nice variety, and it makes you automate stone brick smelting. You'll need to craft oil refineries. So again, I like that one because the gun turrets were just
faultless.
Too expensive, way too expensive.
Yeah, and you needed those to actually defend with. And instead, you're throwing them into these science packs.
Yeah, and it's a lot of iron going into a science pack to get better weapons to fight, but you don't really have the spare iron to use to put down gun turrets to, yeah.
Basically looking, so you'd have one row of smelting up until this point with the red and green, and then you'd need another row of smelting for iron just for the military, as well as the steel that you had to build at the same time.
Yeah. And it'd be more than one lane, because you need probably one lane to do the ammo, because you need ammo for the science pack, plus a little bit spare for you.
Yes.
Plus a little bit of a make everything, I can run up and down the belt and steal everything, and grenades. And then you need another one for just the gun turrets.
Yeah.
Just gun turrets. So yeah, you suddenly go from one smelting setup to 3, pretty much, with the addition of military science packs. And it now shows before Science Pack 3 in the crafting menu. Yay!
Hooray!
So, Chemical Science Pack, aka Blue Science.
Classic Blue Science.
Yeah, Blue Science. We're just going to stick with the simple names. We'll use them once so we can be proper, but we'll stick with the names well known. Engine units and advanced circuits stay as the first intermediate products with longer crafting times and decent complexity, but they are not too resource expensive. You also need engines for pumps, trains, cars, blah, 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 and advanced circuits are useful for a whole bunch of other things. Electric mining drill is replaced with solid fuel, giving you a lot more buffer room to produce something before your refinery deadlocks with one of the 3 oils has no use. The player is also more familiar with item storage compared to the newly learned fluids at this stage, so it is much easier to handle the possible deadlock. In general, also means you don't need to rush towards advanced oil processing to unlock cracking it as early, especially if you can send some of your solid fuel to burn in boilers. Since the crafting menu now shows after military science packs, it would look weird you get 2 military science packs per craft, but just 1 science pack 3. Now, a single craft of science pack 3 returns 2 packs as well. So the ingredient count and crafting time has been increased to compensate, and it's more clear that both military and chemical science packs are in different tier than the first 2 science packs. I like it.
Hooray!
I really, really like this update.
Oh yeah, so finally you don't have to tank up your light oil when you start doing your oil refinery.
Forget that. Finally, at a megabase scale, you don't have a small red science build, a fairly large-ish green science build, a massive, like 5 times the size of any other blue science build.
I'm pretty sure it does, because if you look at the crafting times, it's 2 outputs every 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Which means it's still 12-second effective craft time.
It is.
Which means I don't think it actually changes anything.
With speed beacons and modules, I think it'll go lower.
I haven't actually calculated it out yet. I have a spreadsheet for fixing my base already. And it doesn't. So my base being the Red Belt Mega Base, so the one with
insane everything. Yep.
It's something like, I know there's a bit of a tangent, but to put it into perspective, it's gone from needing 84 belts of copper plate down to 67.
Yes, it's a lower resource usage, but I'm actually curious how many assemblers difference it is. Because you're right, it is.
Yeah, and that's the part that I haven't worked out yet.
It's twice as many science packs for twice the crafting time. But from memory, the way prod mods and speed beacons work is the longer the crafting time is, item to item, the more saving you make on total amount of assemblers. I might be wrong.
Should save on UPS because of the long time between craft.
It should. Less than sort of swinging and all that sort of stuff as well.
We should get more to this later, though.
It's going to be an interesting change. I'm definitely a fan of it. It also technically means, isn't it currently 1 red circuit per blue sites?
Not quite, because it's 3 to 2.
It's what?
It's 3 red circuits to 2 blue signs. So it's 1.5.
In 17, but in 16?
In 16... Yeah, I think it is. No, maybe it's 2.
Now we're both
I can't remember now.
I can't remember. Oh.
I have it in front of me.
I don't have the wiki up anymore. I had the wiki up earlier.
Oh.
I know. I fail. Oh, wiki. Woo. Okay, 1, 1, 1, and 1.
Okay, it is 1, 1, 1.
So it's going to be more advanced circuits, which is going to get expensive. Like, already your advanced circuit build, basically the way you explain a game to new players is, however much room you have for your advanced circuit build, you need 4 times that amount. Just accept it. It's a massive build.
We'll see, because, as you go down to the next one, so productivity module is basically the same as a speed module, but you need less of them because it's 3 per craft for the next 2 packs. Yeah, you have a point. Maybe. It might be less overall.
So yeah, production science pack, electric furnace stays, it has a nice recipe, motivates upgrading to electric furnaces, which in turn motivates players to extend boiler-based power generation or replace it with either solar or nuclear. Maybe if you've motivated to build external smelting because of the 3x3 furnaces aren't compatible with the old 2x2, and external will likely be more expandable and use trains. Productivity module is is not only an obvious choice because of the names and the theme of getting more stuff produced. Using productivity modules motivates you to extend your power setup, since it makes machines eat more power and extend your factory because machines run slower. All while making you spend less time building mining sites. On top of that, common mistake that people research Productivity Module 3 and then try to produce those immediately, which gets quite grindy because of the long investment return of Prod Mod 3. But if you use level 1 first and work your way towards top tier in smaller steps by upgrading to level 2 as a middle point, it becomes a lot more feasible since it is included in the included in the science pack recipe. You're more likely to use Prod Mod 1 earlier. Rails, often one of the coolest recipes in the game, also requires iron sticks and raw stone. Rails are also produced quickly while being relatively cheap, which means we can use them in high quantities in the science pack recipe to achieve the same high throughput ingredient as 16 high-tech science pack had with copper cables. Except rails do not feel out of place because it's neither too late in the game to start building trains. The point of do use direct insertion here is twice as you can insert rails into production science machines. You can also do the same for iron sticks into rails. The ratio is very nice, by the way. The idea of making it easier for people to use trains is also good. Production science pack now returns 3 packs in a single craft, making it clear that it's a tier above chemical science pack. So, rail and direct insertion.
Direct insertion. He's definitely not biased at all towards trains.
No, but lots of players avoid trains because they can't do signaling. And I admit, getting new players to make train tracks means there's a better chance they might build trains.
The trick is to build train tracks with no signals on them.
What? Point to point, dead straight train? Yeah. That is definitely the way you do it. Just from base to iron, point to point, train goes back and forth, no signals, doesn't intersect with anything else done. That is definitely the way to get new players started into trains. Because it's simple, it lets you learn everything about the trains except how to get them to signal and have more than one train per track. As a good start. I do like that it's 3 items, but again, the crafting time is just 2/3 longer. So
yes,
there's no real change. It does mean that we're going to use less furnaces, you're right, and less red circuits for less furnaces for less productivity modules.
Yep, and that's a big deal because none of that stuff can be productivity.
No.
Yeah, I checked. I was checking too while you're reading that out. On my base, it's the same number of Blue Science assembly machines. It's 88 before and it's 88. It just changed what goes into it.
Okay. So maybe Blue Science still needs a tweak because those builds are massive.
Yeah, I have complained about that.
Yeah. Anybody listens? Anybody listened yet?
Of course not.
I don't know. I don't know about what's the craft time on rail? Isn't it half a second?
0.5, yeah.
So in 21 seconds, I'm going to make 42 pieces of rail. And I can either put it all into one machine or split it over 2 machines, which is still the wrong ratio.
Close enough.
So, what? 3 science pack machines to 2 rail machines? Maybe? Or am I doing the ratios around the wrong way?
Yes. Maybe.
No. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about the whole direct insertion thing. I do not like iron sticks. I really wish they'd go away.
There were an intermediate for steel axes, and they went.
Yeah, well, steel axe is gone. Pickaxe is gone. Iron sticks are used in rail and lights. That's it.
Nothing else?
No. Rail and lights. And why a light needs an iron stick, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that's true. Because the light changed graphic.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. I'm not a fan of iron sticks. Like, if rail needed a piece of steel, that would sort of make more sense to me.
Well, it does need a piece of steel.
Yeah, I know, but a piece of steel and some stone, or a piece of steel and some bricks, Piece
of steel and an iron stick.
You know. I just want it gone. Utility Science Pack. So, Utility Science Pack now returns 3 per craft, making it clear its same tier as Production Science Pack. Processing unit stays, but the numbers being reduced from 3 to 2. It was just too many. Flying Robot Frame is basically an upgrade to battery and electric engine, so it feels more appropriate for a high tier Science Pack than either of those two did. And you're just a small step from Worker Robots getting... specifically construction robots, one of the biggest power spikes that you have that you get in the game. Everything suddenly becomes much less tedious, and defenses can be automatically repaired, whilst logistics bots have their own share of awesome progression feeling when you get them, even if it is just for personal delivery. Low density structures, as hinted in Friday Facts 257, low density structures are much more useful earlier on now, since it's one of the ingredients for multiple advanced personal equipment items. It makes perfect sense to use low density structures in Utility Science Pack, as it's the most of the top tier personal equipment is unlocked by Utility Science. So, I like the processing units only 2, not 3.
Yes.
Robot frames take 20 seconds.
They take quite a while.
So, that's another
Just 1-to-1.
+1 for direct insertion. Low density structures take 30 seconds each.
Yep. They're not the fastest things in the world.
No.
But the recipe has changed.
The recipe has changed. It's only 2 pieces of steel now, but 20 pieces of copper.
Yep.
So less steel, which is great. Way more copper, which is okay, I guess. It's going to swing your base.
It's going to
one to
increase
the
the amount of copper you need.
Yeah. But luckily, vastly reduced the amount of steel, which was always a pain in the ass. Again, another thing for mega bases is less steel means less smelting, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, because steel has a pretty significant amount of smelting. The thing you should know, I forgot to point this out with the previous one. So now with high tech or utility science, you're now 3 crafts deep with your items.
More than that.
So what are you? You're 4.
Processing units is copper into cables, into green circuits, into red circuits, into blue circuits.
I was just sort of leveling it off because copper cable, it happens at the same time. So it's your plates into circuits, into red circuits, which is a tier 2, then into blue circuits, which is tier 3. And then the robot frames is your plates into engines, and then into electric engines, into robot frames. And I suppose if you count the gears in the pipe, then it's 4.
Yeah, it's each one of these is going to require more levels of crafting, which makes sense. Like it's taking what you already have and then recrafting it into the next tier up to then make the next science pack.
You can actually see, like, if you laid out a base as a flat bus, you would start with your basic intermediates for the first few packs, and then you just keep recrafting into more complicated things, taking off what you already used and then crafting it into more complicated things. So there's a lot more of a logical flow to it. You're not just reusing the same things.
My only comment between production and utility is utility actually has a slightly lower total crafting time. It uses more petroleum because we're now making acid. And lube, which again is another petroleum product.
Lube's heavy oil.
Yeah, it's heavy oil, but it's another petroleum product. Tiny bit more coal, a lot less iron, but a lot more copper.
What was the iron before?
I couldn't tell you.
There
was a spreadsheet here that we haven't got
16
to.
shows, it doesn't show total. It's 15 iron plate. Oh, but it doesn't tell you what that is.
So, the spreadsheet that we haven't got to yet. So for utility, yellow packs, we go from the new one is 99 iron. The old one was 88. New one's 150 copper. The old one was 168. New one's 11.5. The old one's 10 coal.
That'd be the change in advanced.
Yeah, probably. It'll be somewhere along the line. And crude oil has gone up by 100.
Which isn't a big deal.
It will be. It will be. Anyway, we'll
Really?
get to that in a minute. The recipe does not exist. Okay. Space science. So this recipe does not exist as kind of process of the rocket solo, but the value is a representative. Note that it returns 1,000 science packs. The science pack is only influenced by... The space science is only influenced by low density structure having a slightly different recipe. 20 copper plate, 2 steel, 5 plastic bar, which is... What was it? 5 copper originally and 10 steel?
Yeah, 5 copper, 5 plastic, 10.
Yeah. So it's a lot less steel, which is a lot less iron, but a lot more copper. But other than that, it's the same. Renaming the science pack gave me an opportunity to rethink. It really should not be called rocket science, as many people have half-jokingly suggested. In my mind, rocket science would mean you're trying to research some technology which improves rockets, which is not
Correct.
Which is not what is happening in the game. Space science tells me I'm discovering space, which is what the rocket is doing. Assume the satellite is sending you scientific data, and the rocket solo turns them into bottles of scientific data, like any other coloured scientific data in the game. Also, space is said to be infinite, and this is a science pack for infinite technologies. I still think it should be called rocket science. Rocket science just sounds better.
Space science.
Rocket science.
Space science.
That doesn't care. From now on,
Rabbit
like
season.
It's duck season. Every single playthrough is going to be called rocket science. I'll use the name.
Duck season.
I'll use the correct name once. You know, same as like utility science, no high tech science. You know, yellow science.
And then we're just going to call them. Whatever happens, we're just going to call them by their colours.
Yeah.
After you do it the first time.
It's like even now it's called yellow science or rocket science. It's never called space science. It happens once during most tutorial playthroughs, and then just the informal name just comes out and sticks and stays.
Depends on what's easier to say.
Pretty much. So the maths, the numbers are definitely important when it comes to science packs, as they're a significant portion of where your resources are spent. Whilst iterating the different science pack recipes, we made this lovely spreadsheet. The spreadsheet is pretty confusing, so let's just summarize the most significant points. Oil is hard to qualify in the same formula as oil, so it's calculated separately. Chemical science pack ore price is less than half of version 16. Military science pack is significantly cheaper. Productivity modules affects military science packs very little, as it includes no intermediate items. Have they changed the last two? Walls. So now, no, it's no intermediate items at all. Ore price of production utility science packs is the exact same. The ore price of production purple and yellow science packs is exactly the same. The yellow science pack is more expensive than oil. The oil differences between purple and yellow science packs drop significantly with the use of prod mods. Space science packs is more copper heavy because of the low density structure recipe change. The late game total ratio of iron copper consumption is significantly different. 1 iron to 1.4 copper, but copper consumption is reduced by more by productivity modules, so brings it in the end game of 1 iron down to 0.76 copper.
Sounds about right.
Which I disagree with, but we'll get back to that. Coal and stone are more relevant in than in version 16. Total amount of all science packs combined is roughly 10% lower in ore resources, but about 10% higher in oil. Another interesting number is the total crafting time required. So they have the full spreadsheet here, and I'm going to go look at the spreadsheet for a minute. And there's a couple of things I noticed in here. So we've got the changes to the recipes for... We got version 17 at the top, version 16 at the bottom. So we've got total ore, including space science, right? In version 16, at total for all ores. Total for iron is 237 iron total for one of every science pack. In 17, it's going to come down to 168. Copper, again, is going to come down slightly. Coal is going to stay about the same, and stone's going to double from 10 to 20. Big whoop. But oil has gone up by 10%. So, yes, they're right. It's about 10% less ore for about 10% more oil. But that also comes down to how well those pipe optimizations actually work for us.
Yeah, so if we get the pipe optimizations, that would not be much of a... That would actually offset that change.
Yeah, that's one of the big things I'm worried about. And what else do they say? So they say it's 1 iron to 1.4 copper in the early game, but in the late game it's 1 to 0.76. So on the right hand side we've got prod mods for everything. And we have total excluding production sites. So why would you exclude production sites?
If you're doing an infinite military research, it doesn't use production.
But does anybody do infinite production research? Infinite military research?
Do you do infinite artillery shell range?
Only on community maps, and after you get to about 5, it's a moot point.
Oh yeah, it does ramp up in the expensive term.
Yeah, like mining productivity is the only one people do a high iteration of. Like
even
over
bots,
50.
people drop off.
Well, look, it's the only one that people get past 50. So, yeah, excluding production, it's 1 to 1.4, which comes down to 1 to 0.76. But that doesn't include space science. Does it?
Total, including space packers, everything all together.
So really, we're looking at total excluding military for
your average playthrough.
Yeah, which is 1 to 1.4, which brings us 1 down, to 1 to 0.58. It does technically mean, we go from needing 80 iron down to 70 iron, 40 copper to 40 copper. Coal stays the same, and stone goes up slightly, and oil stays about the same. So maybe,
yeah.
I don't know. It's really going to be a case of we need to get hands on to work out how far we can push the new engine.
Yeah, because you got the new renderer too, as well.
Yeah, you got the new renderer. You've got whatever optimizations they've slid in that they haven't told us about. You've got all these not new recipes, but new intermediates for the sciences. So that's going to change how your base is built and how many different assemblies you have. It's going to be a very, very large overhaul.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've had a lot of people in my Discord overnight go, well, that's it. You can never build as large as you can in 15 because of these changes. So we're never going to see a 10k vanilla base that runs at 60 UPS. And I'm like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know.
Well, I already done the numbers for my 3200 base, and as I was saying before, it's the copper plate's down from 84 to 67. The iron plate's down from, 105, which is 112 effectively, down to 69.
Yeah, so you've gains on smelting, but then you've costed on oil.
As it turns out, the oil base can pick up all of the slack.
Your current oil base?
Yeah.
But it's been running faster, which means actually no, pipes are always active, doesn't matter what. So in theory, okay, we'll see. 17 is going to be massive changes.
It's big changes, yes. I've been saying it for a long time. It's going to be a big deal.
And we're only halfway through the Friday facts. Okay.
Yeah.
Step 3, technology and science unlocks. Production science now, a pack alone now unlocks logistics 3, which it already did. Level 3 modules, which it didn't do before, so now it does. Automation 3, which it already did. Effect transmission, which it didn't do before, and now it does. Beacons.
Yeah, that was a high-tech research.
Yeah. Coal liquefaction, which woohoo.
That was always production.
Yeah, nobody ever bothers anyway unless you happen to have a lot of coal and no oil. Which the recipe's now changed, actually. It produces much more heavy oil that you can crack into whatever you need, but produces less light and petroleum. If we cracked everything to petroleum, the maximum gain is almost double compared to 16. So maybe coal liquefaction will actually be helpful? Maybe?
There was always the option of using coal liquefaction to make a self-contained plastic outpost if you had the water available.
The water available and you can feed in coal from trains here, there and everywhere. Yeah.
Well, you don't need to feed them in from change because it's a coal outpost.
Yeah.
It mines coal and turns it into plastic.
Yeah. Look, it was... I think somebody did the maths and worked out it was slightly less pipes to use coal liquefaction rather than a normal traditional oil refinery.
Yeah, I remember that. I think that came out with a Mad Science playthrough quite a while ago.
Did it? Okay. I've never actually seen one in place and counted the pipes myself and gone, okay, it's slightly less, you know. I think it was one junction per refinery less or something. It wasn't much. Nothing. It was, yeah. Covert enrichment and nuclear fuel reprocessing. You also get nuclear fuel without military or utility science packs. So, yeah. And the nuclear fuel reprocessing also drastically cheaper. It does not do nearly as much as we once thought it would. So they've fixed that. Yeah,
that was absurd, those numbers for all of the nuclear science.
Yeah.
Or the nuclear power, not nuclear science.
And worker robot capacity 2, which was already part of Purple. So, what do they change? Level 3 modules, beacons, Covarex. That's it. They've been moved from high-tech to
level
Purple.
3 productivity modules always need just the 4 packs? I didn't think it needed high-tech.
I'm pretty sure it did. I'm pretty sure all the level 3 beacons needed all 3 science packs. Factorio tech tree.
Maybe it did.
Let's look up the tech tree.
Nope, it didn't. Productivity module 3 only needed productivity. So.
Oh, there you go. But now you can have all 3 modules with just
Oh yeah, because for speed you needed high tech. Yeah, and same with I can't remember what efficiency needed. I think efficiency needed high tech as well.
Yeah,
so now all of them need production.
Yeah. So a small tweak to research there.
That's actually a big deal.
It is. It now means that your purple packs are semi-worthwhile, but...
It's not just a stepping stone. Like, you can do those and then go out doing more mining because you're going to be busy for a while doing other...
Like, if you want to make the step through the modules, you know... as we found on the recent Earth map that we did, that Prodmod 1s are okay if you're desperate. Prodmod 2s are pretty pointless.
Yeah, they're. I've always contested that those are useless. They're just a useless intermediate, a throwaway intermediate for prod module.
Yeah. So, no, nuclear fuel reprocessing was just red, green, blue, and purple. It was 1,500 science packs.
That's the one.
Sheesh. No wonder I never bothered with it.
That's more than a rocket silo, which is 1,000.
Is it more than a nuke? What's a nuke cost?
A nuke's like 1,000, I think.
5,000.
5,000. No, artillery is 1,000. 2,000.
Is artillery 2,000? Yeah. Damn, that's expensive. Uranium ammo is 1,000. Yeah, that's okay.
That's the other 1,000.
Okay, that's expensive. All right, so utility science packs now alone now unlocks worker robot speed 3, which I think's unchanged. Logistics system. Okay, so that's
no change. That's your bots.
Your bots, your blue chests, blue chests.
Blue chest, buffer chests.
Blue chest, purple
chest,
chest,
buffer chest,
green chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Personal robot, Power Armor Mark II and Fusion Reactor, again, unchanged.
No change.
Military with uranium ammo,
no change.
Destroyer robots, which I think...
they needed both, I think.
Look, at the end of the day, by the time you get to yellow science, do you even bother with destroyer robots?
Well, given the changes further down, they might be viable.
Maybe. I feel like they're out of place. They're out of place in high tech. High tier damage shooting, follow robot count, and upgrades for military things. Again, I think they're out of place. Rocket control units, the final ingredient for the final rocket ingredient and atomic bomb prerequisite. So this is the new dedicated tech tree for purple science, and then this is the new one for yellow science. So I don't know. There's not a lot of changes. It doesn't mark where you mark. I can't see anywhere where it marks your higher tiers of armor. So your modular armor and your power armor Mark 1. I don't see them on the tree. I see power armor Mark 2.
Power armor Mark 1 never... Well, it was only ever a blue science.
Really? It's all the way down there, is it?
Or up there. Yeah, it's pretty early on, because it needed... it's... Oh, it's not even a military, actually.
Power armor. Okay, no. Power armor is 200 of red, green, and blue science.
Yeah, red, green, blue. It's
And
before...
Power armor 2 needed military and high tech. Okay.
That's it.
Wow.
It still does on that diagram.
Yeah, that's fine. I just... Yeah, they're not shown, like... I don't know.
Well, it's above it, so that's why you're not seeing it. It's everything that depends on... Everything that it unlocks. Everything that specifically needs...
These science packs are unlocked.
Or utility.
Yeah. Either way, look, unless the personal solar panels get a buff, all power armors are useless until you get to Mark 2 and you get the fusion reactor. Anyway.
Military upgrades.
Oh, hang on. The only technologies required both production and utility science packs are Rocket Solo, Space Science Pack, the unlock of the satellite, Atomic Bomb, it's fine, it's super late game. Upgrades like inserter capacity, which I'm not sure, and I don't see them on this list.
Well, that one, it went through stages from memory.
It's only the last one currently. The very last research that needs high tech.
It means it's no change, I reckon.
Probably. Worker robot speed capacity and mining productivity. So, military upgrade technologies. Separate from any science pack rework, we've realised that we have a few too many technologies for damage shooting speed upgrades. In general, the combat rebalancing Twinson did for 15 was good, and all the weapons had their uses. Mojo, do you want to add your 2 cents?
I have
what
to.
Rebalance?
Yeah.
What happened? They stopped the flamethrower from making forest fires. It still makes forest fires. It just doesn't spread like it used to. You can't spin to win with a flamethrower anymore, which wasn't a bad fix. It doesn't burn down whole forests, just half a forest now. The flamethrower is not quite as OP as it was before, but instead the tank is, which actually makes the tank fun.
I miss spin to win though.
Yeah,
the problem with it was that the flame lingered for too long, did too much damage with no damage upgrade. If you actually do the flamethrower damage upgrades, it's still pretty powerful.
Yeah, but okay. So going back, you missed the spin to win. Do you miss the old destroyer capsules that you could like slingshot them into a biter base and just take out everything as they slid over and slid back?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, there are all these different combat changes that sort of changed what the weapon to use was.
The sort of meta game strategy. And the other reason to use combat is because all the other weapons were useless.
Well,
I used combat boss because the best thing you had was the
combat shotgun.
Or combat shotgun with the piercing shells.
Piercing shells, which now suck.
Piercing shells didn't do anything. They never did anything useful.
They worked up to like large biters.
Yeah, they worked up to large biters, but by endgame with you do deploying destroyer capsules because the combat shotgun didn't do
anything. I think it had a pushback at one stage. That's it.
Didn't even have that.
Didn't it? Okay, well there you go.
So it's not that I remember. Yeah, and you just use it to destroy fighter bases. But most of the time you just run around, you wouldn't bother shooting at all.
Yeah, you just run around and have the bots follow you and just flatten everything. 150 of them in the sky just killed everything. So
yeah.
To make, for example, shotgun useful, you had to invest a lot of time and resources into upgrades for it. Even now, if you invest the time and everything, it's still crap. It's hard to justify. We could just instead research upgrades which benefit both gun turrets and your submachine gun to get a comparable amount of offensive power. The tank had a specific issue with the tank cannon shells would seem weak compared to the automation investment, blah, 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 blah. Instead, you could just put the piercing round magazine in, especially if you upgraded them, and damage was more enough. This was majorly influenced by the tank submachine gun having a plus 100% damage bonus. We have removed this in 17. Now, I will say it doesn't mention the car there, so maybe the car still has that bonus.
I think they use the same base machine gun, which means that if one's been reduced, the other's been reduced as well.
Maybe, but I hope not, because the car's pretty... The car's fast.
Until you hit a tree.
Until you hit a tree, yeah. It has no hit points, it takes lots of damage. The only thing it has going for it is that 100% damage upgrade.
I never really liked that the car machine gun.
Well, I think it also has like +2 range over your normal SMG.
Yeah, it does. It has a much bigger range.
So, like, shooting biters a little bit further out of range is nice. Especially if there happens to be like a lake or a river between you and the biters. Because the car sucks. But yeah, this nerf might kill the tank.
Depends on what happens with the cannon shells. So most people wouldn't do the cannon shell upgrade, which I think is what it's leading into.
Yeah, it is.
Like the physics. So they're consolidating down all of the different damage and shooting speed upgrades into a more concise list. Because it actually highlights a specific problem where there was no incentive to do shotgun upgrades.
No, there wasn't.
There
wasn't because they sucked.
Yeah, or because it only upgraded the shotgun, whereas the machine gun one upgraded both your machine gun and the gun turret, which so you were saving on time and resources.
And yeah.
Everything with the machine gun on it.
Yeah. So the icons above are still provisional, merging all the military upgrades. So we'll have a physical projectile damage, so bullets, gun turret, shotgun shells, tank cannon shells. Energy weapons damage being the laser turret, the personal laser defense, which has desperately needed an upgrade for a long time.
It was very powerful, but then against other players when you first crafted, but at the same time against biters, it was pretty anemic beyond like mediums.
It was really a stage with, late game you wanted like 10 of them in your armor.
Yeah.
And then you probably didn't have enough power generation to keep them active, so you needed batteries, and then they drain, and when they drain, you just gotta stop biters, can't fight anymore, and just go stand over here and recharge for a little bit. Just be patient, wait there.
Oh, it's double. Well, if you had legs on you and you ran out of power, then you run out of running.
Yeah.
So you stop dead, and then you get chowdered to bits.
Yeah. So the distractor robots and the destroyer robots also get the energy weapon upgrade. We've got stronger explosives for grenades, rockets, and landmines. Refined flammables, so flamethrower turret and the flamethrower handheld. Doesn't mention the tank one at all. Weapon shooting speed for bullets, shotgun shells, tank cannon shells, and rockets. Artillery, follow robot count, and laser turret shooting speed upgrades remain as separate technologies. So that's some pretty big changes. The price of these new upgrades is about double what they were of what 16 individual prices used to be. However, you almost get more than 2 improvements in return. And some of the science packs, military chemical utility, are now significantly cheaper. And we're just going through explosive here. So we do grenade damage, then we do grenade and landmine damage.
Hang on, how many of these are infinite?
Shooting speed is infinite. Laser damage is infinite.
Shooting speed should be infinite.
Shooting speed is for machine guns.
Damage should be for machine guns, but
maybe it's damage.
In 16 it shouldn't be. In 16 it should be all of the damages, but all of the shooting speeds shouldn't be.
Okay.
At least in 16. So what I'm curious is, because if energy weapon damage, because that covers laser turret damage, infinite resource effectively, that suggests to me that if energy weapons damage is infinite, then you can infinitely increase your personal laser defense damage. Correct. And combat robots damage.
I would assume the new technologies being physical, projectile damage, energy weapon damage, stronger explosives maybe, refined flammables, all those four would probably be infinite. Weapon shooting speed wouldn't be.
I can't see that one being, except for artillery shooting speed.
Well, that's a separate one. They've already said that's going to remain separate.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you don't get all the upgrades from level 1, though. For example, Stronger Explosives level 1 gives only grenades, level 2 gives you grenades and landmines, and level 3 does grenades, landmines, and rockets. Also,
it's kind of staggered.
It is kind of staggered. At the end of the day, like, landmines are fun. They're fun, but they're only really good if you got bots, so you can put them down and forget about them, and then when they blow up, the bot goes and puts down a new one.
Actually, infinite landmine damage.
That could be interesting.
Because
Because landmines don't damage landmines. Or I don't think they damage your team either.
Yeah, they do.
If you're standing near a landmine when it goes off, you get damaged?
I think so.
I'm not sure.
I don't remember now.
I don't remember either.
This is something that I tried once in like version 13.
Oh, okay.
Or version 12.
So much has changed. We had a whole combat rebalance since then, Mojo. Weren't you paying attention?
Well, they didn't touch landmines.
Well,
they did and they didn't.
There was lots of things they didn't touch. It also means, for example, tank cannon shell upgrades do not have 7 tiers, but just 2. Physical projectile damage +5 and weapon shooting speed +5. But instead, they're expensive and very impactful. So, we're talking level 5 for tank. And this has got me worried. I'm worried that by the time you get a tank and you actually bother to get to that level 5 tank, even the upgrades aren't going to be worth it. The tank's going to be pretty useless.
So, physical 5, that would be... How many is that? Well, it's 5 increases. It's what, like 10% each or something?
I think so currently.
Funny that, because I had the game open to actually check it.
I don't have the game open, unfortunately. I'm looking for physical projectile damage 5. So let's go with shooting speed. I know shooting damage.
It is 10, 10, 20, 20, 20.
Okay. So
20,
even...
40, 60, 70, 80% increased damage. But it's also, that would in theory be 80% cannon shell.
But no, it's only... Because you only get it on that first damage +5. So it'd be increase of 20%, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, because it picks up later, so... Oh. Well, that's no good. I'm trying to look at it on my map, and... because that has all of the researchers unlocked, but it's like 520% cannon shells, because I've already done the infinite.
Yeah, look, bullet damage 5, because that's what I'm sort of aligning it to. Physical projectile damage 5. So bullet damage 5 is plus 20% damage in 16. And it's 200 of red, green, grey, and blue. So it's not too expensive. But the next one is 6, and it needs high-tech science, which they've already said it is going to be part of high-tech science. Yeah, and again, that's 40%. So you go standard shells, which unless they get a buff to start with, plus 20%. Like, standard shells suck at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. I think tanks might be a write-off entirely.
We'll see.
A shame. All the weapons have a shooting speed, which have a shooting speed kind of makes sense. They could be in a single technology, so we did just that. One of the reasons why, for example, landmines didn't have their own upgrade technology because it would just be another research. So we did this without adding any more technologies, which would make it feel like bloat. Personal air defense also included by energy weapon damage upgrades, which also affect laser turrets. But on the other hand, we decrease the base damage it does. So it's also decrease its power consumption. So it's fun to use even with personal solar panels early on, and if you invest in the energy weapon damage, it becomes quite good later. So, personal laser defense might be good. We'll see.
Well, it's clearly got an infinite damage upgrade attached to it now, so one way or another, it's going to be good.
Should be good for that. We also get less power, which means maybe to fix our power problems with having to have 10 of them and a couple of reactors and a couple of batteries and ride around a tank and still run out of power all the time.
Pew.
Yeah. Well, it's not pew anymore. We get solid lasers.
Bzz.
Yeah. Combat robot damage was quite hideous because it didn't actually provide bonuses for all combat robots. And now it's much clearer as defenders are kept the same, while the upgrades for distracted destroyers are in energy weapons damage, which is clearly focused on lasers and electric beams. So we have this lovely picture of some robots down here and some lasers, and the player with the laser eyes, because
reasons.
Important reasons. Alright, and we also get to see the new biters in their full fleshed out glory.
Hooray!
So we get little biters, medium biters. I know, little. Crap, which one's the medium? So the red one's the small biters. Oh, that red one sideways must be a medium. Then we've got blue, and then we've got behemoths.
Which an interesting colour.
They're a very interesting colour. They're not the solid green, which I like. I'm not sure about this green down to rusty green. Yeah. Like the red ones
gotta have that brown.
Well, the red ones have the same. They're like they get shiny as the scales come to an end. But so do the blue, and it's like dull on top, then shiny when it gets to the end, and then the behemoth's the exact opposite. It's like...
Do you know what? I didn't see it before, but you see the little combat bots.
Yeah. If you click on the picture, you get a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Right. With lots of combat robots doing lots of damage. Hopefully. Right. And all the lasers being powered by substations.
Hooray!
Hooray! Pretty substations with lots of lasers that go... No longer go pew.
They go bizzed.
Bzz, yep. And the player who shoots lasers out his eyes. That's the most important part.
Cyclops.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, actually, there's a biter there that's very, very dead and gone grey. I wonder if they decay or they die and they just turn the grey colour.
Maybe that's what it is.
No, there's a blue one there on his side that's very dead. Maybe they go slowly grey over time. I don't know. I'd like that.
I think it might be a bit too much to ask for.
Okay. Both personal laser defenses and distractor robots now have the same laser beams and new high-resolution laser turrets. Yay! High-res lasers. And biters that stand up to die. We'll just leave that there. So the rocket silo. With the military technology changes, rocket shooting speed technology no longer exists. This opens the question what we can do to put the rocket silo... this opens the question, what do we put to the rocket silo prerequisite instead of rocket shooting speed 5? The answer is nothing.
Hooray!
Speedrunners rejoice.
Oh yes.
Putting any arbitrary military upgrade in there just makes that weapon type mandatory an upgrade even if you don't want to use it.
Yeah, because like we always did the rocket shooting speed upgrade, but we never used it.
Speedrunner, like steel axe is the weapon of choice.
Do you know why rocket shooting speed was there?
I was assuming because the standard rocket didn't go fast enough to get off the ground, so you had to have more speed to get the rocket off the ground and into space.
It took me. I didn't realize this at first, but before version 12, instead of researching a rocket silo, you researched a rocket defense.
Yes.
So that was the old objective. And so you had to research rocketry,
which was like
all of the things associated with rockets.
Turret, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was basically a giant turret, which there was actually no graphic for it. It was just a grey thing, a grey box, which said rocket defense on it.
Okay.
Yeah, which cost like 50 productivity 3 modules.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it triggered all the biters on the map too. As soon as you placed it, I think it was, it triggered all the biters just to attack constantly.
Yes, I remember that part. See, 12's like that borderline just before I started really getting hardcore Factorio.
But yeah, so all of the technologies for the silo are really
Based on that
geared
old one.
towards that old rocket defense.
So we have the full rocket tech tree. Right, and if you click on the image in the front of Fax, you get it. And
Get the full dealio.
yeah, it's like automation, steel, green science, red belts, steel furnaces, automation 2, pump
Lubricant.
jacks, obviously, lubricant, which is its own research now. Engines into electric engines, batteries, red circuits, trains. I don't know why trains are there. I really... Oh, because you'll need
a
trains
prerequisite for purple.
For purple now, of course. You've got rocket fuel. We've got flight. We've got blue science. We've got the start of modules. We've still got to do the whole module tree.
Yep.
We've got blue circuits. What's the steel furnace with the 2 on it? That's electric furnaces.
Advanced material processing.
That's electric furnaces.
That's
isn't it?
electric furnaces,
Yep.
yes. Which you need to unlock purple.
We need to unlock purple now. We've got... That's low density, no.
That's low density.
Low density structures, yep, high tech. Rocket control units, the last 2 modules, and the silo itself to get space science. So it actually means that you only need enough high tech science to do the rocket silo itself, which is 1,000, and rocket control units, which is, I'm going to ballpark it and say 300.
Probably like 100 or 300.
So it's 1,300, which it used to be, I think it was speed modules needed 300 high tech.
Yeah.
No, speed. Yeah, speed modules needed 300 high tech.
300 or 100? No,
300.
100 I think. No, it was 50 or 100 for the tier 2.
Tier 2 is 75.
75, there you go.
And that's red, green, and blue only. You're wrong, Mojo. You're wrong.
Huh.
So yeah, it's 1,300 high tech, and it's still, from looks of it, 1,300 roughly high tech. Purple's going to be a little bit higher, I guess.
Yeah, because you only need to spend on the level 3
have to
modules,
do-
which is probably 300.
Prod mods and speed mods, which will be 300 of each. So purple's going to be a little bit higher. Blue's probably going to be, I don't know, probably about the same actually.
Yeah, about the same. Well, you're not doing the rocket shooting speed and the anymore.
Yeah, they're 300 of each.
And I think you do 3 out of 5 of them as blues.
3, yeah. So 300. That's already done. So we've got furnaces, low density structures, purple science, yellow science, and the rocket control units as all blue science. So it's going to be about the same overall research-wise, roughly. I don't know. Talk to a speedrunner. Speedrunner's going to be eager to play with this because it's going to be a massive overhaul.
Well, apparently that someone's already made a mod to mod this in.
Yes, I at 5 a.m. last night found out I can get a mod to change all the research packs over to the right amount. I can't redo the tree. So today somebody's looking to see whether they can redo the tree.
You should be able to redo the tree.
It can be done. It's time consuming. That's all. So in the new year, expect a version 17 playthrough. Will's already hard at work, asking other people to start modding it for him. So yeah, it makes it even more clear that military science packs a separate branch of the science. By themselves already give you a good reason to invest in military science regardless. And it's unnecessary to force military science on people who play without biters. Or I like this. Or maybe you play with biters but badass enough just to use more unupgraded gun turrets and launch the rocket without any military science packs anyway. We'll leave that decision to you.
That sounds like something I'd do.
That sounds like that actually sounds like my January community map. Let's
you disable all
military
upgrades.
Just nothing. or maybe just cap it. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
One man carries a gun. One man carries the piercing ammo.
Yeah. When he dies, pick up his body, keep firing. Free play victory conditions. It's late at night and you've been playing for a while again. You've built all the assembly lines to make the rocket parts, provided all the gluttonous silo, all the parts as demanded. You finally see the count of the rocket component say 100%. You watch the great animation of the rocket preparing. All excited, you hit the capital launch button, written in capital letters because the stuff is lit. Your emotions are through the roof. Your eyes are desperately trying to remain dry, feelings of pride and accomplishment. Thinking about the effort it took to achieve this great technology feat, you observe your great creation flying upwards. The epics of the moment couldn't get much higher until you see the following. You launch the rocket with no satellite in sight. Yeah. I've seen Reddit. I've seen many brand new players post exactly that on Reddit.
I was going to say, it's like V somehow knew my very first playthrough.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Because that pretty much describes it to a T. Because it was like some ungodly hour of the morning.
Yeah. Oh, look, I imagine it is for a lot of players. Like the Factorio, the desire to stay up just an extra 10 minutes just to get one last job done is.
Oh yeah, it's strong.
It's very strong.
And also the telling you to put a satellite in the silo is kind of not exactly.
Yeah, it's. I think it was a little bit more obvious in earlier ones because it actually had a little thing that said satellite with the box to put the satellite in. But that was prior to 15 when we actually got space science packs.
No, I don't think anything really changed there.
How many of you have seen this great message and how many of you have seen it on your first rocket launch? It's really easy to forget. The satellite, especially the GUI slot, for it only shows after the rocket is relaunched. Not to mention, new player might not know at all that the satellite even exists and is required. Mainly for those reasons, you now win into the game by launching an empty rocket. The satellites are unlocked with the space science pack technology, and its only purpose is obtaining these space science packs.
I wonder if you can still win. Just gave me this thought. I wonder if you can still win by launching a blue science pack.
Can you launch a car and get in the car and launch yourself?
Yeah, you can do that still. That shouldn't change.
It shouldn't. Alright.
I was just thinking of that time when Anti-Elites did that.
What?
Anti-Elites? So I think it was a multiplayer run, and I think one of the other guys accidentally did it because they clicked the wrong button because of latency, and then someone else was just mashing the launch button, so they launched it.
I think and it was a speed run where they were going to beat their record.
Yeah.
And by a significant amount, and launched a blue science pack. Yeah. The only thing I'm sad about is the idea of this escape pod has been abandoned, and we'll try to somehow use this in the campaign. I like the idea of the escape pod. Just as that one item you launched once, that's the game done, it's finished, it's time to go on to the mega base that just pumps out science.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense because you jumped on the escape pod and you're now no longer on the planet.
Shush. Factorio doesn't need to make sense. Look at how much pollution gets pumped out of the factory, and you're meant to be able to stand outside and breathe.
Pollution is an abstract quantity. It's not really reflective of what the pollution is. It's whether it's air pollution, water pollution, and so on. It's just a lumps.
I've seen how bad that smog is. Like, I don't care how good the gas mask is. Even if the gas mask's great, you can't see 2 foot in front of you. Forget ordering bots on the other side of the map. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, most of the pollution coming from mining drills is probably noise pollution more than anything. Probably. That's what pisses off the biters because they can't sleep at night.
Well, I don't need the biters to sleep at night. I need the biters to be dead. Right? V did add a note. Mods like SpaceX, which redefine the victory conditions with a super satellite, can use a remote core to disable the default victory condition, which Lord Couture was very happy to tell me at 4 a.m.
He's very excitedly, I'm sure.
Yeah, he could do that since version 15.
Yeah.
He was happy for the nod, and thanks V very much for the nod. Unfortunately, he's not with us this week to actually do the Friday facts, but he's like, yeah, that happened in 15. As soon as they added the end conditions, it's like, there's no way to turn it off because you're running SpaceX. So yeah.
I think there's some more interface stuff that they're adding as well.
Maybe. I've had many people in my Discord mention biters, and they have addressed biters separately and said there is going to be some updates to the biter mechanics.
Yeah.
For 17, so hopefully they're going to get smarter, less UPS again. We can only hope. Science is getting an overhaul. Pipe's getting an overhaul. We still don't know what's happening with heat in nuclear reactors, so we don't know if we get any UPS bonuses from that or not yet.
I don't actually. I always said that one wasn't as bad, but I can't remember now. It always came out lower than pipes. But I think the heat there was a few other issues as well.
I think
there
it's
was
just
some flow problems.
Bad. Like heat pipes originally had a problem of the heat flowed differently. Same with pipes, according to the direction you put the pipes down in. And to make a really good nuclear reactor, you had to build all the pipes from like into the nuclear reactor from the last heat exchanger backward.
You had to build it in the right order.
Yeah. You
I think that was fixed.
That was fixed?
Or kind of fixed, because it still uses the same logic where it searches north, south, east, west.
Yeah, it's
or whatever it is. What is it?
Clockwise.
West, north,
clockwise,
east, south.
Yeah, clockwise starting in the west position. So yeah, it's fixed somewhat.
I suspect also the problem there is the big reactors that people used to build, reactor complexes people used to build were more of the problem, whereas now we build smaller self-contained systems.
I think more people just know it's a UPS problem, and therefore they don't build. Don't try and just whack reactors on reactors to then run the heat off to then make the power. They're like, okay, this is a 2x2 reactor setup. We're going to stamp that down. It produces that much power. When I run out, I'll stamp another one down. But you still have, whether we like it or not, the heat pipes are still run on a fluid system. Even though the fluids
I think it's a heat exchangers too, because they're two fluid boxes in one.
Yeah, they're a heat box and a fluid box in the one item. So
it also turns out that doing all the complex ratioing doesn't actually help you. No, it turns out it's actually better to do a one exchanger to two turbines. Which is quite funny.
One exchanger to one to two, and don't have 100% efficiency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for UPS reasons. So that's still coming. That's got to be addressed or looked at, I assume, before 17 comes out. This is the science changes. We've had biters. What else? Like,
it's what else list.
Do you assume is going to get looked at before 17 gets released? I'll put it that way.
I was going to say more campaign stuff, or at least the tutorial. I don't know what's happening there.
But didn't they push that to 18?
I think that's the full campaign, but because there's the campaign and the NPE, the new player experience. I think the new player experience is ready for 17, or pretty close to. But I think the full campaign is pushed back.
I thought that. See, I've got Friday Facts 257 in front of me. We've done scripting, finalization. Yeah, I don't know. I was always assuming that the NPE and the campaign are all going to be one giant thing. And even if they half ship it in 17 and then finalize it and reship it in 18. But I thought they also said that they were pushed it back.
Yeah, the full campaign, which is so NPE is equivalent to the demo.
Yeah,
I would say, and then the full campaign is the full version, which carries on from it. So I imagine that's how it would appear. You get the NPE because they've been working on that for ages with 17, which would then become part of the demo.
Roadmap.
And then you would get the campaign in 18.
Okay.
Although I would like to see them work on it separately so that they don't wait until 18 to get more frequent releases.
Yeah, I'd be happy with minor version numbers with in version 17.15. All we've done, no bug fixes, nothing else. We just had an update to the NPE that we want to release and have people's thought and feedback on. Because it's one of the things I'm really eager to see. So in 269, the roadmap, we had render backend, the graphical updates for blah, 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 this, that, the GUI reskin, the new map editor, the resource generation overhaul, robot construction tools, rich text, and more, ...
Oh yeah, I forgot about the rich text. It's kind of annoying.
Okay. Where fluid optimizations, which I've already said is done, or mostly done.
Well, the first stages.
yeah, several smaller things, which depending how it goes, I'm guessing Science Pack Overhaul is one of the smaller things, which has taken an hour and a half so far. Redoing some of the important GUIs, action bar, blah, 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 where they're hoping to do. Which
Still probably broken.
the plan is to release this in January. Yeah. I still think that's going to be pushed back. In 18...
Knowing GUI stuff, probably.
In 18, the tutorial, the campaign, mini tutorials are all pushed back to 18. So...
Oh, the mini tutorial.
Oh, forget the mini tutorials. They were a joke. They probably handle. They were probably great for a new player when they pop up, but yeah. So new tutorial, which I'm guessing is the new player experience, because they keep swapping what they call it back and forth. So I'm still assuming that's pushed to 18. I don't know.
What does it say?
It says 18 plan, new tutorial. And new
That'll
campaign.
be the mini tutorials.
No, because there's a final mini tutorials as well.
Oh, there's final minute tutorials there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're constantly fiddling with those. There's always like minor changes to them.
I don't know what else. It's hard to judge when 17 will finally hit us. That's really what I'm trying to work out. You know, your money's still in January or February or March or.
I'm betting late January.
You're betting? Okay. I'm still going with March.
See how we go.
I see how we go. Yep. Okay, so I think that's it for this very, very long, very, very detailed, very, very interesting Friday Facts.
I'm sure we made it a thoroughly riveting experience.
I hope so. I'm sure there'll be plenty of comments saying it's way too long and where's the summary version. My answer would be
TLDR.
The
TLDR is go read it.
Yeah, go read it yourself. It was. I spent 3 hours reading this morning. So the fact that we got it down to an hour and a half is impressive, I think.
Yeah, that's a good effort.
Look, I did a lot of background research and all sorts of things yeah. So yeah, we've got tech rebalance, players that have laser eyes, whole lot of technology that we've got to research again, new recipes to learn, new biters. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching, as always. Thank you, Mojo, for swinging by again.
Yeah, it was fun.
And we'll see you next week. All right, bye.
Bye.